In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Logger Pro to gather radius and period data from a movie of somebody twirling a stopper around their head. Okay, what you want to do is you want to go to the bottom of the site there and grab a movie. So I'm going to pick, I think movie number 2 is a good movie, right? So you're going to click this. It'll download it like that, right? And it's what that does is it puts it in the uploads or the downloads folder, right? And then I'm going to run Logger Pro. You're going to be doing this on a PC, so it'll look slightly different. But the controls inside Logger Pro are exactly the same. So in Logger Pro, you're going to insert a movie. And it'll suggest all sorts of places, but you want to look probably in the download folder, and that will be the same folder, right? And remember, the movie was called To Murray Move or whatever, okay? And there I am, right? So I want to insert that. And it takes a little while, okay? And what I want is I want this movie screen to be as big as possible, but I also kind of want to see this stuff back here, right? I'm going to open up some controls here. So I click that lower right button right there, okay? It pops this little side panel out, okay? And let's just hit play on this.
Okay.
There we go. That's pretty good, right?
All right.
So I just had a student film me doing this, right? And notice that the critical moment is somewhere in here. It's like I shorten it right about there. Okay, so let's set this thing up. Okay, the first thing I want to do, see this little button right there? Okay, that is set the scale. So that first one, the first ruler is set the scale. That whiteboard in the background is, and I measured this, that is 1.14 meters. So type 1.14 meters. Could have measured my head, that would have been better, but that's the best word to use. So we now have the scale, and now we can actually measure things on this screen. I'll show you how, okay? So first, let's go forward here. Okay, I'm already pulling my hand down, so that is the last time, see that it's on that side before I pull my hand down. So we want to be accurate, okay? So there it is, right? So I want to measure that distance, the distance from here to here. So here's how you do it. Once you've set the scale, you can then ask Logger Pro, well, how far is this? If that's 1.14 meters, how far is this? Well, it can tell you. Now, where's the center? Well, you kind of want to go to the center, right? So there's some uncertainty here, right? So 0.9841, right? That's what we think it is, right? But let's measure it a bunch of times. Let's see what the uncertainty of this process is, right? So again, I click measure distance. Let's measure it again. What do you think it is? Well, that's not the same number. It's close, but it's not exactly the same number, right? Okay. I'm going to put these over here. Let's measure it again. So again, from the center of the stopper to where you think the center of rotation is, that's another number. All right, let's measure it 5 times, shall we? And the goal here is that the actual distance is going to be one of those, you know. It's going to lie within this thing. Let's do it 5 times. I feel like 5. 5 means, you know, you do have a life, but there it is, right? All right, so I've got 5 trials. I've got the R1, the first radius is somewhere in this range, right? Okay. Now we want to measure time. So let me show you how to measure time. This is tricky. It's a little bit tricky. See this little guy right here, that little red dot there? You want to click on that red dot. When you do this, it actually records the position of this stopper. Wherever you click, it records that. But it also, more importantly, we're just going to use this to record time. Okay? So I'm going to put a dot, only I'm going to put the dot up here so I can see it. And now let's look. If you click on this data table, you kind of want to do that, and you scroll all the way to the left. There it is. That first time is 2.002. Okay, now let's go forward in time from here. So go down here to the bottom. See that little right thing? I'm already pulling it down, so I'm going to have to go back in time, I feel like, there, from that one. So let's go. Let's get it on the other side. There, is that the best one? Nope, that's the best one. All right, and now I'm going to take that same thing. I'm going to take that same guy right there, that little red dot, and I'm just going to make a blue dot on the screen now. This is now before. Okay. Now look over here. See these times? Those 2 times, that's going to give me the half of the period, right? Remember, it only went from this side to this side, so that's half the period. 0.2 minus 1.535, that'll give me the half of the period. We could figure out the whole period from there if you want. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I'll show you how to do the calculations, right? So now we're done. We've measured everything we need to measure about before. We've got what the radius is. We've also got what the period is, right? And if you have the period and the radius, you can calculate the velocity, okay? So now let's go forward in time until after I've pulled it down. So watch my left hand there. I start, he's pulling. And by golly, now I'm done. I'm done pulling. So now we can safely measure things. So look at that stopper. You see it on the right side? It's right there, okay? Switch your tool to the measuring tool, and let's measure this. Let's go to the center. Notice it doesn't sag as far down, right? So this is that's one of my R1s, right? Okay, let's measure it again. How accurate is that? How accurately can we measure this? That's another one. All right, let's measure it again. Let's do 5 measurements. Here we go. Let's do another one. So you got to click that tool. You got to measure from the center of the stopper to the... Let's do one more. All right, so now we measured the radius afterwards, but we still have to measure the period, okay? So remember, this thing's going around. Now click this little red button here, and let's click somewhere where we can see the dot. I'll click above it, okay? The problem with clicking on it is then you can't see the dot. Okay, so now notice it advanced 1 frame. Let's keep going until it's on the other side. Now this gets a little hypothetical, and this is why, our uncertainty is actually going to be part of a frame. But the darkest one, I think, is this guy here, right? So now I'm going to click the thing again, and I've got the time there, okay? So notice if we go over here, actually, let's make it that. If I go over here, I select that. This is my period afterwards, okay? Now, here's what you want to do, is you actually want to take this and screenshot it. On a PC, you're going to hit Windows S, okay? On the Mac, it's actually Shift-Control-Command-4, okay? Notice that the cursor gets all like technical like that, right? And then what we want is a nice screenshot that gets this whole thing like that, right? And then that just means it's gotten these numbers and it's gotten that, right? And then I can go back to Google like this, and I can go into the drive, and I can make a new folder. Oh, well, okay. I want a new doc, and let's call it momentum. Let's call it angular motion, right? And notice that now I can click on here, and then I can go Command V, and it'll paste all that. And I've got all my numbers there. This is all really pretty good there, right? I've got all my numbers there. And that's all I need to do, okay? So with Logger Pro, if you paste that into your Google Doc, then you're set. Then you can do calculations from there, okay? In my next video, I'll show you how to do the calculations.